What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Here is a time for another Investing Bros live show. And we have got a whole heck of a lot to talk about today because not only does Bitcoin keep climbing to new highs, it is joined by several other altcoins and many a meme coin pumping like nuts today. But we have had our second crash to Coinbase. And I'm telling you, I defended it last week, right? Second crash in less than a week. I defended Coinbase, but I'm far from being able to defend it today. In fact, we're going to be asking the question, and we're talking with you guys in chat, should we be ditching Coinbase? And I don't mean ditching Coinbase because Coinbase is going to crash and burn and die and lose all your money. But if it crashes every single time we have upticks in prices and looks like maybe we're going to be setting a new top, then you'll never be able to take advantage of the top anyway. Should you be moving your money to other exchanges? We're going to have that conversation and a whole lot more. So stick around for the entire show. If you're having a good day, by the way, tell me what's so great about your day. If you're having some fun, let me know. I'm very interested to hear what you guys are doing. Fun story in the Warren household. I feel like you guys want to rejoice with me. We have decided after, Brody is 9 months old now. That is my son, Brody, for everyone who doesn't know. He had been co-sleeping with me and my wife, Taylor, not T-Shroom. T-Shroom's not my wife. We don't co-sleep. I just feel like I should make sure that gets settled now before the rumor mills start churning. My wife, Taylor, and I have been co-sleeping with our son, Brody, but we decided enough is enough. It's time for him to go to the crib. And in only his second night, the kid took it like a champ. In 5 minutes, he was out. He is now officially transitioned. That, to me, that's the new record for babies. 2 days. He's now sleeping by himself. Thank you very much. Thank you. That's my win. What's your win today on this fantastic Monday? Speaking of fantastic Mondays, I got to introduce my co-host, the guy that does not sleep in the same bed at me at night, and that is Mr. T. Shroom from down there in Gainesville, Florida. T. Shroom, how are you feeling today? What's your win today?
Well, Tim, I'm feeling better than I deserve. And people have said, a lot of people have said that I'm a really good snuggler. So the fact that you would just assume that
I'm not one of those people, though. I don't know that.
You don't like snuggling? Is that what you're saying?
I have no evidence to support or dethrone you from being a great snuggler.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
What was my win today?
Yeah.
My win was that I was at the dollar store buying sunflower seeds, and I got in there, and the shelf was completely bare of the sunflower seeds that I like. And so I walked around, and then I found another section where they were, and that was my win for today.
Good win.
I go in there and I buy like handfuls of these sunflower seeds, and the cashiers are always like, look at me super weird. And I'm like, it's for my baseball team, and it's not. It's just my compulsive habit while I'm at my desk.
I would say there might be another one T-shirt. Is that a new hoodie you're wearing right there?
Tim, it is. Thank you so much for noticing.
It's not like you told me beforehand or anything. So I mean, I'm just
way to ruin it. Way to ruin it.
Yeah.
Try to have a nice time.
Well, you can have a nice time with the quote of the day. Do you have one for us today, or is
I absolutely
is all that dollar store shopping throwing you off?
Exactly. Let me see. Tell me if you can catch the theme here, Tim. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I don't know who this is, but Randall Terry gets credit for that quote. I doubt that, but maybe Randall.
That is a very famous quote.
Yeah,
who is Randall Terry?
That's like an Abraham Lincoln type of thing. Anyway, quotes, days, c'est la vie.
Yeah, that would have to do, I would assume, with Coinbase. Did the elf, speaking of, we're going to have the factoid later on. Is the factoid Coinbase related? Do you know if the elf told you that little tidbit?
Do you know what? I can't say for sure. It's just a little bit too opaque at this point, Tim. But I'll get with my team and we'll have an answer for you here in a little bit.
There we go. Bringing out the big words on Investing Bros. Opaque. Give me your definition of that word in the comment section. What do you think that means? Wrong answers only, please, based off the context he just used. Let's go ahead and get in here. Let's open up the markets. Let's see what is happening over on CoinMarketCap. Bitcoin up 7.2%, coming in over 67,000. I made a video earlier today. Literally, I shot the video about 10 seconds after watching Bitcoin beat 66. And I say in the video, by the time you're watching this, we're probably above 67. I was dead on. We got above 67. Of course, Coinbase had to go in and wreck some things. Otherwise, we might be seeing a new all-time high here. But we'll talk more about that here in just a couple of minutes. But it is a big mover here. Not the biggest mover of the top 10, though. The biggest winner of the top 10 actually is two different coins. Dogecoin and Shiba Inu, two meme coins. The memes continue to pop off. I'm going to go ahead and spoil this. Let's just go to the 24-hour biggest winners. Meme coin. Might as well be a meme coin. Okay. Meme coin. XLM. Kind of a meme coin. Just kidding. XLM's pretty solid. Ape coin. NFT meme coin. Meme coin's going nuts right now. And Cardano, by the way, is the meme coin of my heart, is what I call it. Floki, meme coin. Ordi, meme coin. A lot of meme coins pumping right now like crazy. Let's take a look, though, at the rest of the top 10. Some other big movers. You guys saw Cardano up there as well, 7%. Now, we're going to have to talk about Cardano here as well because I gave that level. Remember, 77 cents was my realistic level, but I gave us some fluff up to about 80 cents that if Cardano beats 80 cents with confidence, I've seen people talking about 85. I've seen people talk about 90, but I'm of the belief that if 80 cents is conquered on Cardano, I think it's a straight shot to $1. We'll have to take a look at that on the charts, though. Let's see what our biggest losers are. We looked at all the meme coins having a great day today. You guys can even see behind me, on my bubbles. Look at Bonk, just continuing to be that large bubble up there.
Tim,
you'd love to see it. What?
You were naming all of the meme coins, and you said this one might as well be a meme coin. eCash. I'd never really heard of that before. I just did a search on it. So it's a fork of Bitcoin. Yeah. It's a rebranded version of Bitcoin Cash ABC.
Yeah, it's just another fork. That's just another joke. What do we call jokes? Memes.
Yeah.
Meme coin. That was my transition.
Oh, so you knew what you were saying. You were just, okay, cool.
Yeah, I knew what I was saying when I said it might as well be a meme coin because it's just another ripoff of Bitcoin. Let's take a look at our big losers, though. Let's see if any meme coins make it into our losers. No, I don't think so. Woo, is Woo a meme coin? I don't think Woo's a meme coin. I think it has.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it is.
Flare is down. Nothing's crazy. I mean, 10% for Axelar. Not in our portfolio. In fact, let's take a look here. The only coin that I think is in our portfolio. Well, do we have Filecoin? I think we might have Filecoin and Arweave there. Oh, and Sui. And Tia. Not Dog with Hat. Dog with Hat, of course, having to cool off here. Arbitrum's in our coin. So we have a couple coins. And it's okay. It's okay they're a little down. So Arbitrum has been a little disappointing in the last 7 days, only up 2.9%. It's not our winner this week, but it's still a green coin in our portfolio. It's really hard at the moment to have a coin in your portfolio that you made months ago that's not green. Crypto is continuing to go up, and to the right. And we're going to take a look at some of those charts here in just a couple of minutes. But before we do that, T-Shroom, is there any breaking news that doesn't necessarily warrant massive discussion, but we do feel like people need to know before we jump into the charts?
Tim, there is breaking news. And I'm glad that you clarified because there's also another breaking news, but it absolutely warrants discussion. We will.
Well, you can break the news, but then we'll discuss it later.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's breaking news out today. Supreme Court rules states cannot remove Trump from presidential election ballot. Not that was something that I was super fearing, but essentially some context. But go ahead, Tim. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's just not kidding. I did see that. What's interesting is it was all 9 judges. Like when all 9 Supreme Court justices agree with each other, that is obviously something the Constitution is clear about. So, I mean, we knew this, but the states, they didn't just twist the rules. They full-blown disregarded the U.S. Constitution to take him off ballot. So it's actually good to see that the Supreme Court, none of them were like, well, we kind of like this side. They were all like, no, we read the Constitution. That's a pretty gross violation. You can't do that.
Did you see that picture that they found of the Colorado Supreme Court that tried to pass this?
You're going to show it to me. There we go. Yep.
Big Ruffsky there. If you're, we'll move on. All right. Coinbase faces second crash in a week. Not good. Tim kind of alluded to a lot of this, but the initial kind of PR, we are aware some users may experience increased latency across Coinbase.com, and a few users may see intermittent zero balances. Rest assured, your funds are safe. Our team is investigating this issue and will provide an update. Trading is not impacted at this time. So
I have got a hot take on this later, but I'm going to save that for the discussion portion of the show.
Okay. And if you're out there and you're like looking at your Coinbase and it's like It doesn't say 0 on mine. It's like, okay, no worries. That's good. That's great. But here's the graph. Coinbase outages reported in the last 24 hours. You'll notice a stark up and to the right movement here towards the end of the graph.
It's pretty stark.
Right. Well, exactly, Tim. You said it better than I ever could. So excellent. And if you are seeing 0 balance on your Coinbase app, this happened recently. And it was resolved. So more than likely, this is not something you need to be super concerned about. You don't need to be fearful. Do not be spilled with fear over this, right? My guess is that they're going to fix it. But the bigger question is, should we start using Robinhood? Should we start using Gemini, eToro? Like, why keep using an app that? And I do have another deep take as well. We'll get to in a little bit later on this.
They're called. So yours is a deep take. So you're going to take us down deep into the issue.
Right, Tim. Well,
I'm just going to heat us up. Mine's just going to be hot.
Most of my hot takes are in the Discord. So my deep takes is what I bring here to the Investing Bros on YouTube's.
Good to go. Joe Bro said, hey, there's a channel that is linked to burning Shiba Inu coins through Amazon. Something just covered it. I don't want to disrespect your channel. I just want to see if you heard of it. I don't know why that would be disrespecting our channel. I hadn't heard of it. Maybe because you're saying you're drawing attention to other channels. Just, Joe Bro, we have so many friends and loved ones who do other channels. We are not the only YouTube channel you guys should watch. If we are your favorite YouTube channel in crypto or in YouTube in general, we thank you and we feel very honored and we love that. But, watch some other guys too. We like to share the love with the rest of the crypto community.
Yep.
That's a cool channel. Joe Bro, put the recommendation, get the link there. Free promotion. I'd love to hear what they're saying.
I don't know what that means. It doesn't make any sense to me when I read that. Hey, there is a channel that is linked to burning Shiba Inu coin through Amazon. That just doesn't make any sense to me.
Either they're reporting it or they're like facilitating the burning. Ultimately, they're burning Shiba Inu is the point. They're kind of letting people know. I'm sure if you knew the burn was about to happen, law of economics, that the supply is about to go down, and unless there's a drastic drop in demand, that means price goes up. So it's an early site to invest. If they called it early, good for them. That's great for them.
Right. My position would be it's a meme coin. Therefore, anything outside of the meme world, I'm very skeptical. And when you start talking about supply and demand, that is not meme. That is laws of economics. So.
Yeah, right. Well, but what I'll have to give Shiba Inu, and historically I've not been a Shiba Inu fan, never owned a single SHIB token in my life.
Sheebless.
Yes, I'm sheebless. What I have to give them credit for is they are a more sophisticated meme coin where I'm going to keep them in the meme coin category, but they are working to actually be some sort of a useful coin. Dogecoin's useful in as so far as it's the number one meme coin and could be tied to X. Other than that, it's not really useful. The rest of the meme coins, they're just there for laughs. I'm bullish on a lot of them, especially if we go into the election season, because I know that people around the world appreciate memes and those things are going to pump. Do they have any inherent real value? No, they don't. Like when you hear the 97-year-old person who hates crypto talk about online, they talk about those crypto bros who just make money out of nothing and it's stupid. They're talking about the meme coins, and you got to give them credit. Yes, the meme coins literally have no inherent value other than millions of people say, hey, as a really good joke, let's all put our money into this and give it value. But that's about as far as it goes.
Tim, did you see this picture? There's already a reaction on Twitter from what you just said. The meme coins just reacted.
We're gonna see. Yeah.
You're embarrassing the meme coins, Tim.
Yeah, that's about right. It's about right.
ADA.
Any other breaking news before charts? Oh, yeah. Comments? Let's go. Yeah.
So that's going to be the end of the breaking news, Tim. And I know you're eager for more breaking news, but it's not all about dopamine, okay, Tim? Just because there's not any breaking news doesn't mean you have to freak out and start jonesing, start fiending for more breaking news.
Could that joke opaquing?
Could that joke have gone on longer? Probably not. Yeah, you have more people live right now than I have as subs. Guys, go follow 80 Ace. In fact, I think he's putting out a new video on AGIX, AGIX, that I am absolutely going to be watching.
Or as the good folks call it, AGIX. AGIX.
The good folks.
Go check out Ada Ace's video on AGIX. Coming your way very soon. Love Ada Ace. Good friend of the channel. Crypto Stevo says Tim himself is breaking news. Don't know how I feel about that.
Mm-hmm.
Papa Goose says Tim lay off the dope. Okay. Let's do some charts, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get in here and take a look at what is happening. Bitcoin is over 67, just was over 67,500 here on Coinbase. Did cross right below it as I was speaking. However, you guys will see. Remember, we actually had a couple different formations. I moved this yellow line, and I told you guys last week breakout was coming. The question was, were we going to turn this into an actual bull pennant? Or were we going to break to the downside? Well, guess what we did, guys? We found support one more time on that rising level of support, and then we broke out. I just for kicks and giggles put a flat line because pennants can have flat tops too. That's how these work. Let's get rid of our descending level of resistance. We broke through that one pretty easily as well. So we're getting to the point here, ladies and gentlemen, where remember I told you if we have a bullish breakout here, what would that mean for a potential breakout price prediction for Bitcoin? And let's not get nuts here just yet, but that poll, the flag poll, would suggest a $77,000 Bitcoin. Now, this needs to be, let's put a little price right there, and I'm gonna get rid of that little line because I want us to be able to see this clearly. Remember, I made a observation here a couple of days ago when it comes to Elliott wave theory. And the truth is, it's easier to talk about Elliott wave theory in hindsight than it is to predict it. However, there is usual rules of thumbs that we're still underneath here that you'd never see the third wave of an Elliott wave be lopsided. And you can't make an argument that we've had any type of ABC correction in here. This, since the bottom, we have been in a process of setting higher highs and higher lows nonstop since all the way of hitting 15.5 or whatever back here in November 2022 to where we currently are, right? So we have had no correction, but there could be a case where we do not play out some form of Elliott wave theory. Now we've always done it in the past. You guys can go back in history and see that we've always had some form of Elliott wave theory. But could this time be different? Like a lot of other things, we're breaking a lot of trends that we've had in the past. A lot of that probably thanks to the institutions and the ETFs that are coming out. But what we have had here is we have had a one wave right here, boom, from that bottom up to this 32,000. Our wave 2, we pulled back a nice 20-something%. Wave 3 up here, wave 4 right there. And now the question is, where does wave 5 go? Why am I bringing this up? I'll explain that. Remember I said the rule of thumb here, and there's lots of rules when it comes to Elliott waves, and everyone's going to have their own opinion. And I've seen the comment section since I've made this video and this argument, and everyone wants to argue with me just like I predicted they will, because, again, I've met 742 technical analysts who do Elliott waves, and I've heard 742 different ways to do Elliott waves. That's just the nature of Elliott waves. Nobody seems to agree on anything. So I'm just going to trust the opinion of a very smart individual who is very good at Elliott waves and makes a lot of money off of it. Those are the ones you want to follow.
Elliott?
His rule of thumb, yeah, it was Elliott, actually. Gosh, T-Shrew. All right. His rule of thumb was wave 3 cannot be the shortest of the more significant waves, meaning either wave 1 or wave 5 will be shorter. Well, at the moment, wave 1 is the longest one. That was an 107% rally. Wave 3, on the other hand, was 97. Still very impressive. Nothing to fret about. It's a very impressive rally, but I didn't do it perfectly. It says 96, but just trust me, it's 97. What that means is, theoretically speaking, Elliott wave theory would suggest that wave 5 has to be shorter than 97%. Currently, the wave for Elliott wave 5 is at 77%. 97 would put us up here to what price? About $75,000, right? That's a level that people have talked about psychologically for a while. That would be the top of where wave 5 should be if this is Elliott wave theory. If we hit that $77,000, we have broken the Elliott wave theory, and in that case, Elliott waves is not the tool you should be using. Now, there should be some people who are like, yeah, Tim, because you're a freaking idiot. You shouldn't have been using Elliott wave in the first place, and you're welcome to that opinion. You can have it. Comment down below if that's your opinion. I just want to respect the fact that Elliott wave works for a lot of people. There are millions of people who use that theory. And because there's millions of people that use Elliott wave theory, remember what technical analysis is. There's nothing magical about Bitcoin that says, what does technical analysis think today? Technical analysis is studying the psychological and trading behaviors of all the traders. And if there's millions of people using one type of thinking, they're going to act on that way of thinking, and you want to be aware of it. It's like a herd mentality. Okay, My point here is if millions of people are under the observation that they cannot get above 75,000 without a serious pullback, you want to know that there are going to be people who think that way. I'm not saying that Bitcoin has to respect that. We could break it. This could be a brand new cycle where Elliott Wave just doesn't get involved whatsoever. However, I just want to make sure you guys are aware of that. So if you do see some sort of harsh correction after that, what you should know is that we will be seeing an ABC correction of some time, whether we correct right here or 69,000, or we get up here to 75 or so, because we can't get to 77. What you'll be looking for is an ABC correction. So if we dip and we come back down, you're going to be expecting a small bounce that will not go back up to all-time highs. You'll look for a place to short, and you'll look for the third leg to come back down, and then you want to buy after the C, right? That's the point I wanted to get across, you guys. I don't know the levels. I don't know if we're going to double top at 69,000, which is a play. I don't know if we're going to get up to 70,000 to 75,000, which could happen. I don't know if we're going to break get above 77, start shooting up to 80K, and then totally disregard this Elliott Waves. What I'm aware of, though, is that is something that millions of people will be watching. Papa Cruz said Elliott Wave equals if you have 3 big moves up, then you have 2 big retracements. There you go. That's a very simple way. Very simple way of putting it. But yeah, that's about right. That's Elliott Waves in a can. Let's take a look here. Some other things I want to talk about now. Let's have some fun with this T-shirt. Remember the bet I have with DZ. We're on watch alert because I think that my DZ bet, my stake bet with DZ, is going to be settled within the next let's give it 4 weeks to be safe, but realistically 2 to 3 weeks. And the reason why, for any of you who don't know, DZ and I have a stake bet that Bitcoin would get to 60% dominance before hitting a new all-time high. Now, if I had to redo this bet, I wouldn't take this bet. I'm, of course, on the side that I thought 60% was going to happen. This bet was made darn near close to a year ago, probably 8 to 10 months ago. But as we get closer to this double top, I want you guys to remember something historically. I talk about it in my video I made this afternoon. Historically, we wrestle with previous all-time highs and have small pullbacks before actually breaking through. It happened here in let's go to it. Happened here in 2020. It happened here in 2016, back in here, right here, excuse me. And it happened before that back in 2012, right? So historically, we end up hitting our heads, double topping temporarily at former all-time highs. In this case, we're talking about 69,000 on the dot. If it breaks and goes above 69,000, and our deal is on Binance, I believe, so we got to keep an eye on the Binance chart. If it gets to 69,001 penny, and we are not at 60% dominance, I will owe DZ a steak. I will grill it. It probably won't be a live thing, but we'll record it, and you guys will get to watch me grilling him a steak. However, what I'm on watch alert for is because remember, when Bitcoin corrects and starts to move to the downside, Bitcoin dominance climbs. And we're currently approaching 55% on that dominance. This is the dominance chart. If we see Bitcoin get to 69,000, double top and move to the downside, and remember, we're on top alert. We're on hey, at some point, there's going to be at least a 10 to 20% pullback. When is that? If that happens and altcoins bleed, and remember what's pumping right now, meme coins can bleed very, very easily. Could we see a spike in that dominance that shoots us up to 60% before we see new all-time highs for Bitcoin? That's still on the table. Now, it's going to be really sad, T-Shroom, because the bets is specifically talking about pre-all-time high. What if we break new all-time highs, go to 70K, 75K, and then Bitcoin dominance just shoots up to 60-something? I would lose the bet still. But I have a little bit of pride with me because I was right about the 60%. But I would still have to cook DZ a steak, which is not. I don't want to lose 2 bets, and it's looking like I'm on that road. What are your thoughts, T-Shroom? You think I'm a loser? You think I'm going to get destroyed here in a week or 2?
No, well, I would never say that you're a loser. You're a winner, Tim. And if you need to talk about anything going on at home after the stream, we can talk about it afterwards. But I don't think you're a loser. Know that. Chat, help Tim out right now. Provide some support
and
for
sell
someone
Bitcoin.
who's.
I'm just kidding. Actually, don't sell Bitcoin. Sell all of your other alts. Diamond hand Bitcoin. Just don't buy any more of it, and then sell the rest of your alts, and let's get this Bitcoin dominance up.
To be honest with you, I can't wait for our next bet because I have a really good idea for what I want, and I'm just very excited about that. And I might reveal that very soon. What the consideration would be if I were to win our next bet. I'll just leave it there.
Speaking of winning bets, we have some winning comments, and we don't miss super chats. We might not say them the minute they come out, but we don't miss super chats. Rich Q giving $2 said, "Let's go," and then he put a diamond. He put some hands and a smiley face. So we're gonna say, "Let's go, diamond hand holders that are happy," is what he's saying. Shout out to Rich Q. Thank you so much. We also got a super chat from one of our members. Let me scroll to it because again I had to scroll back. Drew P, been a member now for 2 months, said, "Mega Trump token donates to veterans charities and children rescue charities." Yeah, there we go. By the way, MAGA, which is Trump coin, that was one of my calls. Remember when we made that portfolio? I said, look out for MAGA.
I do.
What is MAGA at right now, out of curiosity? It's going to show
Did
me.
you ever buy it, Tim?
I didn't, because I don't listen to my own advice. Let's see here. MAGA back here when we made it is not even on, so we have to go to CoinMarketCap. Let's go to my screen here. Let's take a look at where MAGA was. That video was made like literally the first week of January, right? I want to say.
I think so. Yeah.
It was like early. It was early January. So let's go back. If you had been watching our channel, all right, we're just going to estimate this because I don't know exactly where it was, but it's somewhere right around here. Oh gosh, are you kidding me right now? It was hovering somewhere around 20 cents. 20 cents for MAGA. Currently, it is at $10.30.
Oh my gosh.
So I didn't buy any because I thought for some reason I should wait. I don't know why I thought I should wait closer to election season. It's election season. It's election season has been. I should have bought some in freaking early January, and I didn't. Here's the thing. Am I going to buy $10.30? Probably not. But honestly, I think we could see it go a lot higher. Current market cap for MAGA with 42 million in circulation, a market cap of 432 million. Okay, this could easily get above $1 billion, maybe multiple $1 billion in market cap. Again, am I buying $10.30 right now? Probably not. But am I thinking that MAGA will go higher than $10.27? Yeah, I think it will. But, you know, it is what it is. And shout out to the super chat. They even donate to veterans, which is kind of cool. When I say kind of,
I didn't know that.
Cool.
That's education.
Ada Ace gave a membership comment saying he's been a member for 3 months now. Shout out to Ada Ace again. Go follow his channel. He is new, but he is bringing the sauce early. Snack, WMT, IAG, AGIX, Hunt, CTV, Snack. Those are his meme coin choices. That's not financial advice, just Ada Ace's choices.
Now, not all of those are meme coins at all. In fact, I think only
Snack. WMT is not a meme coin. You're right. These are just his token. AGIX isn't either. It's a AI token, but he definitely surrounded it with a bunch of
only Snack. Tim, to be clear, is a meme coin there.
You're not wrong. You were very correct.
Now, Tim, Eric Wallen wanted, I think it was Eric, wanted me to bring up that gold's at an all-time high, but this was a while ago. It is. Let's see. Let me go out to a weekly chart to really get a good perspective. That's a monthly, weekly, because we very, very rarely ever talk about gold.
Yeah,
just because we believe that we've kind of found the new gold. But
I just feel like Peter Schiff talks about it enough for all of us.
So what's going on here? Because like obviously, okay, this is going back to 2022. That's pretty far back. 2002. Now it's 2000. So this is 2020. So we were in these similar levels, like above $2,000 per troy ounce for gold, all the way back here in 2020. Right. A lot of that probably had to do with the market selling off and people rotating into fixed assets. So and then it kind of fell off because people bought the market back and swapped their gold for Goldman Sachs and ExxonMobil shares, whatever it is. Now it's come back, not only to come back to these levels, but it's also knocked them and put in new all-time highs for gold, coming in at 2,150, call it. So, Tim, could there be an argument that the only reason Bitcoin's going up is just because folks are rotating into fixed assets in general? It has nothing to do with ETFs, nothing to do with the halving. If gold's going all-time high, so is Bitcoin. Or is there something else going on here? And I don't expect you to know. It's not like we talked about this before, but what's your take on this?
The first thing is just because one asset goes to all-time high doesn't mean all others do. Ultimately, we are seeing a massive flight to value from fiat currency. I mean, now, what are we? We've got to be above 50. Maybe you said it and I missed it. How many currencies around the world is Bitcoin now at new all-time highs? It's got to be over 50 now.
It was 14 the other day when Balaji...
30...
I don't know how many it is now. Let me do some clicking and clacking on that.
Yeah.
But
I will.
Yeah.
I did see a comment here. Bitcoin is now at all-time high of its market cap, sitting up at 1.3 trillion, 1.3 something trillion. What is it sitting at? Let's see, 1.3 point. What is that? Market cap. Let's not give me the right thing. I don't know what that is doing. 1.3 trillion, but it's not telling me the right number right there. So I don't know how to measure it. It's higher though. It's barely higher, but it's higher than it was back in 2021. And you weren't sharing my screen, so people aren't seeing my graph.
Sorry.
That's all right. Yeah, this is current market cap for Bitcoin. Again, it's not. I don't know why it's not telling me the exact one. Look, it says 824 billion. That is not. Oh, it's because I'm not in the timeline. There we go. 1.33. There we go. Sometimes computers work. All right, 1.33. Previous all-time high was at 1.27 trillion back in November of 2021. So Bitcoin smashing it currently. There was another thing I was looking at that was brought to my attention by Kelly Kellum. And I see the super chat. Remington Peralt will read that here in just a second. But make sure if you're not following Kelly Kellum over at BitLab Academy, you got to do it. He's always bringing some great alpha. This is a chart that I think is very interesting. It's not a chart showing that we've hit a new all-time high here, but it's interesting that we're higher than we were back in 2021. This is very hard to get into your trading view. So if you try to make it work, it took me a long time. I don't even remember how I got in here. But it's ultimately measuring Bitcoin over the value of the dollar. So currently, it is not sitting at the highest amount compared to the value of where US dollars have been. It is higher than back in November of 2021. It's higher than February of 2021, March, April of 2021. And it's higher than that June, July tops we had back in 2019. But the time that Bitcoin has had the greatest amount of US dollar value was the high of December 2017. And that is because, of course, as you guys know, during the pandemic, look at that massive gap. We had the largest printing of US dollars. I don't quote me on this one. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the number is 60% of US dollars in current circulation were printed during the pandemic back in 2020. Again, I heard that, so you're hearing it secondhand. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we have just beaten out. We're not all-time high. We have beaten out the 2021 highs. I do think it's a matter of time. I don't think it's long before we beat out the highs of 2017. But very, very interesting here that when you're actually looking at the value of the US dollar, we're not sitting at all-time highs with Bitcoin just yet. 2017 was that high. So I'm interested to see where this chart ends up getting to. If you do want to try to get it onto your trading view, the ticker for it is very confusing. Screenshot that right there. Try to get that in there. Interesting chart brought to my attention again by Kelly Kellum. Now, we got a super chat from Remington Peralt saying, hey, 7 months already. How crazy. Make sure to donkey kick the like mitten, everyone. We haven't talked about the mitten in a while. The four-fingered mitten. You guys absolutely should hit that four-fingered mitten at your earliest convenience. Before we get into our discussion, T-Shroom, I told everyone we had to take a look at Cardano, and I tried my hardest never to lie to people or misguide them. Cardano is pumping. It reached briefly. And remember, I gave the cushion of 80 cents as if we can top it out. Briefly, as we're looking at these candles here just yesterday, early this morning, we did, in fact, touch 79.9 cents on Kraken. That's the chart I'm looking at right here. Of course, when you're zooming out, we have talked heavily about this long-term dotted white line that, again, going back to the early days of Cardano, was support back in 2017, has been used as support and resistance several times, more recently, resistance. But I gave this level not only for that being the flat level, but also being, rising level of resistance, also being the last level for Cardano before the volume starts to pick up. And I said, if we break through 80 cents with confidence, even though 77 cents was my target, I said 80 cents is my cushion zone. If we break through 80 cents with confidence, I don't think we're talking about stopping at 85 cents or 90 cents. I think we're talking about $1. And even more specifically, I think we're going to be pushing up past $1 and more talking about potentially value area high up here towards $1.10. Let's even take a look at Fibonacci here with Cardano, see what it is doing / saying. T-Shim, you know what we didn't do today? And I was ready for it too. We did not do our community trade. We're going to do our community trade tomorrow, guys. We might even do $20 of community trade tomorrow to make up for it. But when we look here at our Fibonacci levels, the next significant level, now we're wrestling right below the 0.23, the 0.236. The next significant level is going to be all the way up to $1.30. You're going to see in that same area, $1.22, $1.25. That was the high in April, March area of 2022. We've seen this level on several other coins be serious levels of resistance. So while Cardano is still below 80 cents, it's hovering right there. Look for the next move on Cardano. Do we reject? Do we move to the downside? Do we see a deep loss there? Or do we break on through and we are talking about Cardano getting back over $1? Put a 1 in chat if you would love to see that. I told T Shroom beforehand, as we continue to rally this, like I'm not going to sit here on a high horse and try to tell you guys that I called all these moves perfectly, because I didn't. I'm man enough to admit that I have been cautious. I have been at times bearish. I've almost sounded like I'm certain. And that's because the charts have been saying for a long time now that Bitcoin, Cardano, Solana, Chainlink, while there's always the possibility of higher levels, they led me to believe that it was more likely for corrections to come. Here's where I'm currently at. I've talked about a potential pullback on Cardano back to around 40 something, about 48 cents, 46 cents. I talked about Bitcoin pulling back potentially to 32 cents. I talked about Solana pulling back potentially to $50. Did I say Bitcoin to 32 cents? $32,000. Sorry for that. Here's the thing. If we start to make those pullbacks after these massive rallies, we are talking about Bitcoin pulling back over 50%. We're talking about Cardano pulling back 60 something or more percent, 70%. At this point, I'm not rooting for those levels whatsoever, and I'm thinking that they're less likely. But I can tell you right now, remember something I said on the last live show that I was on, that was Saturday. The healthier the bull rallies, the healthier the corrections. The more unhealthy the rallies, the more unhealthy the corrections. What do I mean by that? When you have a token run up and just go parabolic with no significant pullback, no significant resetting of setting a higher low with a 10 to 20, maybe 30% pullback, the steeper and the more aggressive the losses can be. So while I'm not predicting or thinking or hoping for 50% pullbacks on some of our favorite coins like Bitcoin and Cardano and Chainlink and Solana and Ethereum, I do want to make sure you guys are prepared that if we make a run up and Bitcoin goes to new all-time highs here very, very soon, and Cardano shoots back up over $1, and Solana makes it up closer to 150, maybe starts going towards 200, and so on and so forth, the increased possibility and likability of a 50% pullback or greater continues to be something to keep on your radar that could happen. We've seen it happen historically. The more your heart gets filled and the more people FOMO in because they feel like they have to get in now or they'll lose out, the harder the crash, the harder the breaking of your hearts. We have just heard and seen this story too many times to not caution you about those things happening. It's not what we want. It's not what we would pray for, but it is things that happen by chance. So continue to watch the markets with a little bit of awareness. I'm trying to think of the right word here. A little bit of caution. And I'm not telling you guys to go take profits, massive profits right now, wait for a bigger dip, because there's a chance it doesn't come for a while. But I am telling you to be very careful and look for the signs. Look for the volume to start doing funny things. Look for the signs that retail investors are coming back in even more bulk. I mean, they're coming back pretty heavily right now. We've seen the signs of it, but there still is more room for even more retail investors to come in. Look for the signs of a potential big pullback, because you do not want to be wrecked and be left there brokenhearted and wondering why that happened to you.
Absolutely. And Gladiator here is saying, hey, Tim, I think a lot of people can relate to this. Hey, Tim, listen, there will be no such crazy pullback. Stop it. But here's the thing, guys.
I hope not. I hope not, but history doesn't favor that.
It's not that it's going to happen. Nobody knows if there's going to be a pullback or not. There's a different trading psychology dynamic this time with the ETF buyers coming in. But it's still important to be skeptical, right? Always have that skeptical mask on, that skeptical mindset. You never want to completely snuff out that voice in your head that's saying, well, maybe what about this? You want to be skeptical. Skepticism is good if you were an investor. Being overly skeptical, there is a line, right? You can cross and it can have diminishing returns. Tim, I've let you down. I've let the bros down because I cannot find Balaji's last quote was that there was 30 currencies that were reaching all-time highs for Bitcoin.
But I feel like I've seen an additional 5 this morning alone.
Well, so if you think about it, I think there's only a handful of currencies that are more valuable than the euro. I think I think there's a couple Middle Eastern currencies that are more valuable, and then the dollar, and I think the Swiss franc. So I can't imagine that there's more than like maybe 5 or 10 currencies that Bitcoin has not reached an all-time high yet. I wasn't able to find that information, but I was able to find this, and I wasn't planning on showing you till later. But this is really cool. So today, Bitcoin flipped Meta. So Meta valued at 1.2 trillion. Bitcoin just flipped that, and it's closing in on silver.
Yeah.
Closing in on silver, the commodity. Pretty wild. Alphabet, Amazon, Saudi Aramco, Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft, and gold are the next heads to roll. Gold at 14 trillion probably won't be this cycle. Tim, what do you think?
No, I don't think this cycle. No, I think gold. Go back to what was the number on gold right now? It's
14.2.
Yeah. I think. I don't want to say best case scenario because that would be putting a cap on it. I think best case realistic scenario, Bitcoin gets to 11 trillion itself, but by that point, gold is probably sitting closer to 20. You know, I think that potentially here, let's fast forward another 4 to 5 years. Now we're talking about Bitcoin possibly beating out gold. But the other thing is, who knows? Like, who knows if a lot of old gold heads are just watching their buddies, because again, a lot of people getting into Bitcoin right now are long-term investors, very, very wealthy individuals. They're looking for the best asset to move their money away from the broken fiat currency. And historically, those guys have moved into gold. Watch some of them moving to Bitcoins. Then their golf buddies are sitting there watching them make all of this wealth. Who's to say we aren't going to see a massive exodus of gold pump into Bitcoin? Because again, if gold keeps going up, I don't think Bitcoin will catch this cycle. But if gold drops because it's funneling into Bitcoin, that's a whole different conversation. And that's why I say I can't really put a cap on it, because really anything's still possible in that front.
Yeah. Well, it's like it's really only rotating out of currencies, I guess, because if you look at the NASDAQ, it's still up, putting in new all-time highs. The NASDAQ, the S&P. So it's not like money's coming out of stocks. Money's not coming out of stocks and rotating into gold and Bitcoin. It seems like it's coming out of some stocks, right? But the indexes are not showing that there's a huge exodus of stocks. It's not coming out of gold, obviously, because it's reaching all-time high. It's got to be coming out of currencies. It's probably coming out of non-US dollar currencies. People selling their lira, right? People selling their ruples, selling whatever currencies they have and saying, I want to buy Bitcoin, I want to buy gold. I think another reason why we're seeing gold hitting all-time highs is because it's an election year in America, and there's this weird question, like, are we going to get another huge catastrophe? And there's been all this like weird elite nudging and gesturing towards the grid going down. And it's like, should I have gold? Gold is a very natural impulse. It's like, if the grid's going to go down, I'm going to have gold. I'm going to have it right here, right? You can do the same thing with a cold wallet, by the way. But people like to buy gold. I think that might be a dynamic that we're seeing. It could be a lot of Wall Street folks as well that might be reading the tea leaves of what could be coming from an exodus in the stock market. What was it? I think it was Zach Martin. I can't believe I remember that name. He told us that was, or somebody told us. Now I'm thinking it wasn't Zach Martin. Anyway, March 11th is when that Fed funding facility is going to come to a close. The facility that was put in for being able to loan money to businesses impacted by the SVB and Signature Bank closings, custodies. And so that could be what the market's pricing in for gold and to some extent Bitcoin here. But another chart I wanted to pull up is Coinbase. Coinbase, I mean, the subject of today's show, because of the outage or whatever, it's a glitch, really, is kind of the best way to characterize it, in my opinion. But look at Coinbase and look at the resistance it just punched through here, Tim. This is 2021. It just said, I don't care about your freaking waffle cone. I'm going right on through. And that's on a day when the app is like borderline crashing. Okay, so let's have some deep takes here on this second crash from Coinbase, Tim. So, first of all, I guess what Wall Street and I guess Silicon Valley and like VC investors they're looking at Coinbase, they're seeing it go down again, and they have kind of this Solana type of mindset, right? They're like, well, software doesn't have 100% downtime or uptime, right? Mm-hmm. We invest in software goes down, we're okay with that. Coinbase. I mean, it's a little different when it's your savings, right? The number for your savings is like gone, or your investment. When it's your money, it's okay if Fortnite's down, right? That's not going to break the bank. But if all of your money's gone, right? People probably have had heart attacks seeing that zero balance. Anyway, okay, so here's the deep take, Tim. Coinbase is the custody vendor for BlackRock and I think 8 of the 9 or 7 or 6 of the 9 ETF issuers, right? So what does that mean? It means that Coinbase collects a fee. They collect a fee from you and me from the retail side, and they also sell to institutions. They sell Bitcoin to institutionals. They have a back end for that, right? And then they're also custodying crypto for BlackRock.
Yeah.
So if I'm BlackRock, I'm in direct competition with Coinbase, right? Because they're getting fees that I could be getting over at my ETF. So what if there's a little bit of tinfoil hat here, where BlackRock's look like Coinbase, look, we own you, you're ours, right? Brian Armstrong, and this is very tinfoil hat, by the way, guys. I have no evidence that this is true, but it's like, why don't we see a little bit of panic over on your app, see if we can shake out some of your, most fearful folks and get them to come buy the ETF. What do you think about that theory?
Your deep take is pretty much my hot take, T-Shroom.
Oh,
you and I are two birds of the same feather. We are thinking very much alike today, which you love to see. You love to see two great minds come together.
Maybe we're right. Dang, dude. That's actually kind of scary that we came to that same conclusion. That's a dark conclusion.
No, and the quote of the day today, I think is perfect. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, though, shame on me. They crash once when we're peaking, and a lot of people are probably looking to take some profit. All right, Coinbase, come on, do better. The second time in less than a week that a lot of people are probably looking to take some profit. All right, this is no longer their fault. They are doing something sketchy here. And remember, when we tie all this together, T-Shroom, you put a great case, but I'm going to go a little bit further than that. Who gave them the green light? Who gave them the ability to launch these ETFs finally once and for all after months, years of rejecting them?
Gary G.
There's a lot of closed-door meetings between executives of these ETFs and Gary G. Gary G did not want the Bitcoin ETF. You don't think that there were compromises and things said behind those closed doors that they do not want the public to know about? Do you think it is at all possible, tinfoiled hat people, do you think it's at all possible that there is a great movement to try to get all of the money people buying and selling to happen within ETFs rather than on centralized exchanges where people can actually acquire the asset itself? If Coinbase is going to close down every single time there's a good time to sell and every single time there's a good time to buy, what will that drive people to do? They're just going to go over to the place where it's always easy to buy and sell, ETFs, right into the hands where, yeah, you'll have value attributed to Bitcoin, but you won't own a single Satoshi yourself. That Satoshi will sit in the belongings of BlackRock or the ETF holder and in the bank account of Coinbase. It's one of those things that I do not want it to be true, so I'm holding out that there's potentially an excuse. But dang, does it look convenient that every time this happens, we can't sell at these highs. And I asked the question earlier. When I shared this video, I literally asked the question: is it time to ditch Coinbase? And I'm not talking about ditching Coinbase against the SEC. I'm still rooting for Brian Armstrong and all of Coinbase to beat the SEC in this case, so we can keep altcoins around. But I'm saying, is it time to ditch Coinbase in terms of trying to buy and sell your crypto over there? Because ultimately, do they even care? Do they even care if you do it? If there was a massive exodus of people holding their coins on Coinbase, would Coinbase struggle as a company? Or are they so propped up by the likes of BlackRock, Fidelity, and others that they're like, screw it, whatever. We'll just exist as a company to hold all the crypto of the elite ETF filings.
Yeah.
I'm getting close to saying, I don't have my entire portfolio in Coinbase, but I have a portion of it because I want to be able to move it. I'm getting close to saying, you know what, screw the fees. I'm probably going to just move us off of Coinbase, find a different exchange to make those types of movements, get my bigger bag. I mean, I have some in my cold wallet, but I'm looking at this saying, screw it. I need to get more of my stuff. I need to just go ahead and lock a lot of stuff up in my cold wallet and not try to wait for another pump to take some little profit or a dip to buy some more.
Yep. Well, look. At the end of the day, I do not think the tinfoil hat theory is true. I think that there's probably some pressure that has been felt, some tension there, because they are direct competitors in some sense, BlackRock and Coinbase, but they do have wildly different demographics, right?
You're not competitors, though.
Well, they are. They're competing for fees, for in and out swapping for Bitcoin USD.
I understand the concept of them being competitors on paper, but like I said, like Coinbase benefits as much, if not more, from them winning. Like I'm trying to wonder if Coinbase even cares about the retail investors' ability to purchase on there.
They're competing, but I don't think it's a conflict of interest. And I at the end of the day, I don't think that Brian Armstrong, just looking at the man, seeing him talk, seeing him speak, which is all you can do, is just guess when you're trying to make, basically, try to formulate how ethical a person is. It's always going to be a guess, even your own kids, right? Mm-hmm. I think he's a good man. I think he stands for decentralization, and I don't think he would kowtow to something like, somebody asking him to crash his own app for a second. It's like, I think that would probably get leaked, right? In this day and age, I think somebody at Coinbase would leak that was going on. So you may not agree with it, and it kind of deflates and takes the fun out of the tinfoil moment. But I'm sorry, Tim. I just don't think that it's true. But I do think that this is the types of things that people start to think when your app goes down twice in a month.
Are you saying, T-Shirt, that you laid the foundation of your deep take? I heated it up on the grill, and now you're abandoning me in our time of need when we need to rally behind it?
Oh, no. It appears as though I have. And I apologize, Tim. I do apologize. It's
We were almost friends, T-Shirt. We were this close to becoming friends again, and then you ditched me in my time of need.
I'm very sorry. Well, Tim, you guessed correct.
You're Canadian now.
Very sorry. Tim, we've got to get our factoid. We got to get into the news at some point.
We do.
It's just such an interesting and juicy day. I mean, Bitcoin's like basically making all-time highs. It's only a matter of time at this point. It's made all-time highs against the euro. For all intents and purposes, everything that we thought for the last year and a half is coming to true. And so it's very nice to just kind of sit back and, as we say in America, chew the cud. Have you heard that, Tim? You may not have heard that.
I don't hang out with too many cows.
It's an old you got that. It's an old agrarian metaphor.
That was my way of saying I have heard of it, even though I said I didn't.
Well, Tim, you may be surprised by this, but today's factoid is actually brought to you by Decrypted.tax. Go check out the tax pros over at Decrypted.tax for your tax season for 2023, Tim. When was Coinbase founded? 2012, 11, 10, or 14?
Fudge McGee. I should know this.
Come on, Tim.
I don't. I'm not gonna look at chat because there's gonna be someone in chat that definitely knows. So I'm delaying, but I promise you I'm not looking at chat, and I'm a man of my word. I'm gonna say. I want to say 2014. Pull the options back up. It wasn't like the earliest option. The earliest 2009? It definitely was. Okay. I don't think it's going to be 2010. I'm really tempted between 12 and 14, and that means it's going to be 2011.
Come on, Tim. Make a decision.
Let's go 2012. I'm not going to do the latest, but I'm not going to do the earliest either. Let's go 2012.
2012?
A.
Okay.
Oh, look at that. Gia said A. Oh, I feel good now.
Tim, you were right. You got it right. Look at that.
Oh, there's a lot of dogs today.
Now, Tim, you're noticing some of these funny dogs that I have pulled up, and man, it is just a lot of fun to have our canine friends here on the stream with us. I believe this one's AI generated from the looks of it, but still would probably be more than willing to get that wet nose way too close to your face and give you a little kiss. Would be the likely outcome there. Tim, let's go ahead and jump right on into the news here. Somehow we have gotten to the last 5 minutes of the show and not covered.
I mean, again, we've kind of been running long here, unless you have some. I have a 4:15 meeting, but other than that, I'm good to stay until then.
Okay, all right. Well, let's keep trucking. This next news is it's interesting. It is interesting. Yep. Goodness gracious!
So hard to say. It's so interesting.
It's exactly. Tim, you may want to pull up some of the mining stocks for this one, because this is all about mining. Bitcoin miners are struggling after ETF launch, except one. Oh, okay. I didn't even read that part. The except one. Which one is it going to be? Which one is it going to be? Very interesting. Shares in several publicly traded mining firms are trading flat or down in 2024 so far. Riot Platforms has fallen 6.2. Iris sunk 11. Bitfarms and Marathon Digital are appreciated. It's only a modest 5 to 17% respectively. Meanwhile, the price of Bitcoin is up 42% year to date. So what gives? Well, meanwhile, we don't really know. To be honest with you, that's why I wanted Tim to kind of bring up the charts, because there is kind of this like strange question. Is like, well, what's going on with the miners? They literally print Bitcoin, and it's not free to do that. They got to pay their energy cost, right? And it's becoming more difficult. But why are these stocks becoming less and less valuable? I have a theory. I've shared it on the show before. But Tim,
Yeah.
have you been able to pull up those stocks? Or are you still looking them up?
Well, I mean, I have to pull them up one at a time. I need to probably add them to my favorites. Let's start with CleanSpark. We call this the Papa mining token, mining stock, because it's not a token. Remember, we talked about it, even though we briefly broke above it, it did kind of reject here in a broadening wedge pattern. So we talked about it potentially pulling back. And I remember we kind of worked out the logic of this T-Shroom. Is a chance that we see a lot of the mining slow down leading into the halving event, but then pick back up right after, especially CleanSpark. Could we see some mining organizations actually kind of go out of business? They can't stick up with the competition, whereas CleanSpark is able to get all of that going on. Now, again, it's been pulling back here. Let's see. We really have not done, we've been looking at charts today, just talking about things. We really have not done a lot of in-depth technical analysis. So we probably don't even have time to do in-depth analysis on everything. But I do see the money flow, despite the fact that we're moving down here. Money flow is still going positive in here on the daily chart. So that is actually something to keep an eye on, that even though we're moving back down, still very bullish here. Still very bullish. In fact, we were rallying under negative money anyway. So the fact that we're still climbing back up, going back towards positive, could be something of interest here. What we see everything else overextended here on the Lux Algo indicator. You do see a CleanSpark just came down, bouncing and borderline almost filling this order block. It probably could come back down again, but we have our stop loss coming in right here. We rejected on the red reversal indicator. We have an order block right here around $15, but you also are going to have the smart trail potentially coming down towards 13. So look for a continual raising of support there, but this could just drag out sideways. Could have a dip. There's another order block all the way down at $7, but that'd be a pretty significant fall. More than a 50% fall on CleanSpark. You don't love to see it. Here's some other tickers. Which one do you think we should take a look at? Because we won't have time to look at all of them. But which one do you?
Do BitF, or I'm sorry, BITF.
BITF. Let's do BITF. BITF. We're looking on the NASDAQ. Let's see. Even before we do this, we've looked at it before because we have a little Fibonacci level going on. And yeah, another channel that we rejected on kind of just perfectly. Let's see. That Fibonacci is kind of not helping us at the moment, so we're going to go ahead and get rid of that. Money flow. This one actually is negative. Money flow is flowing out there. We did just get a green reversal dot, but the bearish momentum is kind of ticking up, and you can see that by the bright red here on the Lux Algo oscillator coming in here. So I'm going to go ahead and say this is one that looks like we got further room to the downside for sure. Coming, looking over here. Yeah, bearish signal currently. Take profit at the highest at $2.37. Possibly we have an order block coming in here around $2.15. That could be an interesting one. But it does look like it's pulling back. And, it could pull back even as far as back down this dotted line before it ends up finding its footing here. So, yeah, as a whole, we are looking at the Bitcoin miners and saying, all right, while the Bitcoin price continues to shoot to the upside, probably has a lot to do with just – how many people, all the people wanted to sell are taking profit. We saw the story earlier. I think you talked about it this morning where Grayscale, GBDCs, they saw big outflows again, but the price still shoots to the upside, meaning we're like heating up the amount of people that are probably buying these ETFs. That's where I think a lot of the buying is coming still. Mm-hmm. The ETFs are still very advantageous, and they're just way outpacing the amount of people who are like, all right, good enough, let's take some profits. There are those people out there, but the newer buyers are just overwhelming them, but that doesn't necessarily correspond to the miners. The miners are more, they're realistically sitting here waiting for the halving event. And again, I think there will be some that go to the downside continually, but look for some of the stronger ones to actually have an uptick and go up and up and up to the right when we do have the halving event happen.
Yeah. Well, Tim, I want to provide a little bit of context because I'm gonna be just super transparent. This is like a red hot question right now. There's a lot of folks who are bought into Bitcoin. They're loving Bitcoin. How can you not right now? But they're looking at their stocks, their Bitcoin mining stocks, and they're like, oh, it's kind of lackluster. What's going on here? Well, I've got a little bit of insight. So back in early January, actually the day after the approval of the spot Bitcoin ETFs, JP Morgan released this. Said JP Morgan predicts Bitcoin mining stock cool down. So JP Morgan analysts had kind of been predicting this. The JP Morgan note said mining stocks may be momentarily overextended, trading at a near all-time highs relative to their reserves and estimated mining income. The report also said mining stocks could face tailwinds from investors leaving mining stock positions to get more direct Bitcoin exposure via the new ETF. So ETFs, kind of a new competition, new guy in the block selling some new great stuff. Nevertheless, JP Morgan's analyst wrote that mining company fundamentals remain unchanged and the stars are aligning for a big year in Bitcoin mining. Valkyrie's Bitcoin Miners ETF, which is exposure to a host of mining stocks, is up 176 in the past year. So that was their conclusion, is that sky is still the limit for these mining stocks. But at the time, so this was from January 11th, that text, that insight from JP Morgan. There's our Twitter. But if you go over to CleanSpark at the time, so January 11th was right here. So they were saying this was overbought. Or right in here, this correction actually down to the Bollinger Band on the weekly.
Yeah.
And then from there,
it was a classic misdirection.
And then CleanSpark said, "Go ahead and hold my beer," and boom, you got a 261% move if you sold the top. Right. Currently, if you held it to now, it's still 155 points. I will take that.
Do you know what we call it? Do you know what we call it when a massive company that has massive attention makes a prediction? And then the price does the exact opposite. Do you know what that's commonly referred to as?
Oh man, it's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember. What is it?
Starts with an M in the first word. The second word as a M as well, and ends in manipulation.
Puppet master? Manipulation.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah. There we go. No,
I wasn't sure which one you were going to say.
That's market manipulation right there. And JP Morgan is notorious for saying, everyone sell your portfolio now. This stock's about to rip to the downside. And then all of a sudden it goes up. And then it goes up and it's been rising. And they're saying, this is a great asset. You guys need to be buying this. This is going to be good stuff. And then it plummets to the downside. They have been doing that since the beginning of their company. Mm-hmm. In fact, they were probably doing it before their company even existed. I've made a joke before that I don't feel is that much of a joke, that in the interview process to become CEO of JP Morgan, they ask you, how comfortable are you with lying to our associates and to our clients? And if they give a soft, like, yeah, I'll be all right with it, like, you're not hired. They need an enthusiastic, yesterday, I'll lie yesterday. I lie all the time. I lie about everything about my life. In fact, I'm not even in this interview. They're like, you're hired. Yeah. Right? It's not just Jamie Dimon. Every single one of his predecessors has had fines. I mean, look at the fines JP Morgan has paid even since Jamie Dimon took over. But go back even before that. They are notorious for lying to their clients. The SEC catches it. They fine them. They pay the bill because they're making more money and profit off of lying to their clients than they're paying. I feel like they probably have a budget put in. Like, hey, this year we're going to need to spend probably $20 million on fines to the SEC. Sounds good? All right, let's do it. Worked into the budget. We're good to go. That is JP Morgan to a nutshell. And I'm not saying trade them exactly opposite, but I am saying, T. Shroom has said this before, and we've said it. We're going to say it many more times. Watch what they do, not what they say. I'm wondering if you said this most recent comment is them actually being more bullish about the stocks, or is it bearish?
Well, the comments from January 11th was, they were basically kind of asking, like, well, here were they predicting a cool down, right? From then, there was a bounce off the midline of the weekly Bollinger Band and a head higher to make not all-time highs, for CleanSpark at least, but to make new highs. And then their conclusion was, but this, sky's the limit for Bitcoin mining stocks this year. So in any case, whatever this man says right here is he's trying to either get you to be his exit liquidity, or he's trying to get you to pump something that he's already invested in, right? Those are his motivations. That seems to be the role of the CEO for JP Morgan, for better or for worse. And, well, obviously for worse, but ultimately it does kind of put a spin on this quote here, which is, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me, right? if you get fooled more, you can be forgiven for getting fooled more than once by JP Morgan. Of course, we all have. But there is a point where you say, I can kind of predict what their intentions are, what their incentives are, and I'm going to go ahead and be a small fish and just kind of follow along the big fish. And what is the big fish doing right now? They're buying Bitcoin, and they're buying the companies that can literally print mint Bitcoin. So overall, my conclusion is that I'm going to continue to buy the dips in CleanSpark and BitF, and that's just the way that I'm going to do it, right? If I'm played the fool, then we'll see. But for right now, I'm gonna go ahead and continue to believe that all is clear for the most part with these Bitcoin mining stocks until proven otherwise. One more story here, Tim. This isn't actually an interesting story. So Promethium, a crypto custody company, kind of like what we were talking about with Coinbase, hires ex Morgan Stanley executive as CFO for regulatory first approach. I'm not going to get the details of this article, but I read it. Essentially, the summary is like these guys are looking for another fight with the SEC. They're basically, their whole company is like, yeah, we custody crypto, but let's hold off on that. Let's just go through the court processes first and just get try to become what Ripple, Coinbase, Kraken, Grayscale have become. But basically, they're just an ultra powerful legal team, and now they're getting ex Morgan Stanley executive on board to be able to combat the SEC as well. So that's a overall bullish story, in my opinion. It's just one more kind of proponent there to fight against the SEC in that theater. I mean, in that world. So, yeah.
See what you did there. Shout out to Alex Green, just gifted one Investing Bro membership, and that went to Zachary Martin.
Nice.
Shout out to you guys. Alex did say congratulations and make good use of it. Yes, you did make good use of it. Make sure, Zach, to connect your membership to our Discord. You can get in and talk with our trading group, with our news group. You get access to some levels and some things in Discord that others do not get to. You also get our videos early. So those of you who don't know, we're making videos every single weekday. I put them out every day at noon. So always check out our channel around noon Eastern Standard Time for that video. But members are receiving them closer to 10:20, 10:30. Also, we will be going back to weekly members-only streams. We have taken the last couple of weeks off with a lot of chaos and moving things around. We're still trying to bring you guys as much information as possible, but we are bringing back membership streams. We'll announce tomorrow what night of the week. T-Shirt and I just got to touch base on that, and then we will have that membership stream as well. So welcome, Zachary Martin. So glad to have you here.
Why don't we touch bases right now?
Well, I was gonna say Wednesday night is good for me. You guys get to be in here. Wednesday night's good for me. What is you thinking? Like we're talking about like right after the show, like 4:15 Eastern Standard Time, right after the live show. What's your 4:15 Wednesday look like, T-Shroom?
Yeah, Wednesday would be good because I have my bridge club on Tuesday, and then I do a lot of.
When do you take ballet again? Is that
my ballet? Well, I had to cancel it. Yeah, Rafaldo, we couldn't see eye to eye anymore. Rafaldo, he's been a great sensei in my ballet, but ultimately I couldn't see a future there.
I was trying to hold it together
at that dojo.
His ballet dojo.
My ballet dojo.
You heard it here first.
My goodness. I call that gamer tag ballet dojo.
Let's on our way out here. Let's get one Q&A. We'll answer one question.
Well, Tim, we got to get. Sorry, bros, but my mom asked me a Q&A before we went live.
All right, today's Q&A brought to you by T-Shroom's mom. Let us know in chat. Should that be a new section of the show? Thoughts from T-Shroom's mom. I'm voting yes. Put a 1 in chat if you want a new section of the show. We're not gonna do it every day, but from time to time. Thoughts from T-Shroom's mom. Today is section 1. If you like it, hit that 1. We'll do it more often.
Forgive him, Lord.
What is the thought?
He knows not what he does here. Okay, so her question was, so if our investment is high right now, okay, so context. I had my parents buy some Bitcoin. Like $3,000, right? I'll just go ahead and say it. It's not like a ton, but it's also like if you lose it, you're like, oh, that sucks.
Hey, if it's not a ton, they can give it to me. I'll take it.
Right. So she goes, so if our investment is high right now, I want to cash it out and then invest it again. That way you don't suffer any loss. So Tim, this is what is on the mind of folks who are kind of outside the bubble, folks who have not had a bunch of, and this is my mom, right? Nobody else other than my mom is asking this specifically.
Yeah.
What do you say to somebody like this who's asking a very valid question? It makes sense. The rationale is there.
Yeah.
What do you do? What do you say?
Do it at your own risk. This is what I would say to T-Shrim's mom. If you have done your research and you are convinced that Bitcoin is going to be dipping, you absolutely should. Like if I had a crystal ball and I knew Bitcoin was going to dip to 45,000, I would take every single Satoshi I have and turn it into USDT and wait for that 45,000, right? I put a buy and order down there. The problem is I don't have a crystal ball and I don't know. In fact, T-Shrim and I talked about this earlier. We both got burned by not liquidating our whole account, but we took a little bit of profit closer to 30,000 during that run up, thinking, all right, we're going to top over here. We're going to go back down. And I ended up having to buy back in closer to 35,000. But guess what? That means that X amount of money, I'm not going to tell you how much I took profit, that X amount of money that could have ridden Bitcoin from 30,000 to 35,000, I didn't do that. So I didn't lose money. You never lose money when you take profits, but you could lose out on money. And if you're thinking, man, I just turned let's say she invested at 35,000, right? And she takes profit at 70,000. You just doubled your money. If your thought was, all right, I just took $3,000 and I turned it into $6,000 and I'm going to take that $6,000 and go buy a new blah, blah, blah. That's fine. That's completely fine. That was a great investment. But if your thought is, well, let me take profit now so I can buy back later so I will write it up to $200,000, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys, you don't know where and how far it will correct. Again, we're telling you to be on the watch out, but that is not us saying, guys, take a bunch of profit and wait for a dip. That's saying you're saying, do not be surprised if we correct, blah, 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 blah. And if you have any dry powder right now, deploy it right there, right? Deploy it right there. But there's nothing saying with 100% certainty that we're going to correct at 70,000. There's nothing saying we are going to go back down to 45,000. There's nothing saying that tomorrow we don't wake up and somehow, some way, Bitcoin's sitting at $150,000 and we're never going to see it get below 100,000 again. I'm not trying to make that prediction like that's going to happen, but I'm saying we've seen crazier things than that happen in the world of crypto. So again, you never lose money taking profit, but you absolutely can lose out on money. And I highly recommend you guys decide right now, what is your number? Is it 100,000? Is it 150,000? Is it 200,000? Is it 250,000? Take profit when that big number hits. Don't try with your entire portfolio to swing trade these markets. If you want to take a portion of it, go for it. I'm all about that. That's what I do. I have a whole portfolio where I swing trade, and I'm not even in any trade right now because I took profit earlier. But I also have my very large hodl bag that I'm like, if Bitcoin goes to 80,000, it's sitting here. If Bitcoin drops back down to 32,000, it's sitting here. This is my long-term sell at like 200, 250. I haven't fully decided yet. I want to kind of see the market conditions. All that said, do not take massive profit if your plan is to get back in lower. What I would say is have a healthy DCA strategy, ride this out, hodl on, look for 10%, 20%, 30% dips, and get every single dollar in that you can. Wait for higher prices before you take full-on profits.
Yeah, and that's essentially my take as well, is like, no, don't sell, especially if this is like money that you can low-key afford to lose. Like that 3,000 is for my parents. Like, yeah, you're going to feel that. It's going to suck, but your food's still on the table. The lights are absolutely still on. So this is not money that's like, oh, we better take that out of the market. We made our profits. Like, first of all, you should never invest money that you feel that way about. But second of all, this is the number one regret that I have in crypto so far, is selling Bitcoin down at those low 38 levels, whatever it was, because we saw a head and shoulders, right? And that traditionally, historically, that plays out to the downside. So I still think that we made a rational decision. Yep. But I do regret it. Yeah. I mean, the word I use to describe my feelings towards that decision is regret. This is how I feel right here. That every night I think about, man, 38,000, I could have kept it. But at the end of the day, I get it. I get why you would have that impulse to try to sell it and buy back lower. And if you are a swing trader, a day trader, and you feel really confident about that, right, then do it. But more than likely, if you're listening to the sound of my voice, right, you're probably not sophisticated enough to sit there and see like where the tops and where the bottoms are going to be, right? That's why we use these indicators, to give us as much of a chance as possible. But the reality is, when it comes to swing trading, that's why we use two different portfolios. And Tim literally just said this, but there's your investment portfolio that you just buy and you pretty much never sell, right? And then there's your other portfolio, which you're constantly buying and selling. The $3,000, you know, for that is their hodl bag, right? So you don't want to sell that. Maybe you sell like 50% $50 or $500 of it, right, to then trade
Yeah.
with, but they're not traders. My parents are not traders. Your parents probably are not traders, right? So overall, that's kind of the perspective from my mom, and that's the answer to my mom. Love you, Mom.
Love ya, Mama Shrum. Guys, that's all we have for you today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. We had at one point over 350 people watching. The streams are coming back. Hit that subscribe button on your way out if you have not already. We're almost to 10,000 subscribers, but we need your help. Also, even though we had well over 330 people watching, our likes are currently only sitting at about 135. That's actually great. I love that number, but it's rookie numbers. 200, get it in the next 5 minutes. I know there's a lot of you out there that have not smashed like just yet, and you can do it. I believe in you. With that said, we will see you tomorrow, same time, same place, our 9 a.m. morning show, our noon video, and 3 p.m. live show. You don't want to miss a single one. Adios.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms News got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.